How you doing, guys? I've missed you guys so much. It's been about 7 weeks since the last time I've made a video. For those of you who have been following along, you know the whole story. My wife actually had her kidneys fail last year, and 7 weeks ago, I was lucky enough to donate my kidney to her, and we both have been recovering quite well since. I am back now. I don't know if I will be able to make as many videos, per week as I used to before, because I am still recovering. I'm not 100% yet, but I am well enough to bring this video out to you today. So let's get started. So I want to go over why I think the Hyundai Genesis Coupe is one of the best platforms to get into right now if you want to drift, if you want to show, if you want to race around the track. I mean, there's so much potential to these cars that I'm actually going to go down a list and tell you why I think this is one of the best tuner cars to purchase. All right, so before I get started, make sure you hit subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell as well. That way you're notified every time a new video is uploaded. Let's get started right away. All right, so let's start with my first reason. My first reason for this car being one of the best tuner cars to get into right now will be price. Okay, price point to actually get into these cars are very, very reasonable. I'm looking at the whole United States. We're looking at all the Genesis Coupes, so basically from 2010 through 2016. We're looking at around and under 10 grand for a lot of the examples. Yes, they do have high mileage on them, but if you decide to mod them and just really turn it upside down and change the engine, change the suspension, whatever, those high mileage examples are not a bad ones to get. If you want the lower mileage examples, obviously you do have to end up paying more, but you're still technically in the realm of buying a rolling chassis 240SX versus a fully running car when it comes to the Genesis Coupes, with creature comforts like Bluetooth and cruise control. Okay, so you can actually drive these cars daily, but also have fun if you really wanted to when it comes to, tracking and drifting and things like that. Which brings me to my number 2 point on why these cars are one of the best tuner cars to get into. My number 2 point is that they are all rear-wheel drives, and you have the choice of manual transmissions on these cars. Okay, so rear-wheel drive. When it comes to sports cars, I know we have the front-wheel drive guys out there, but rear-wheel drive is where the true spirit of sports cars lie. Okay, when you're trying to drift, when you're trying to actually go around corners, rear-wheel drive is where it really picks up and gives you that sporty feel where you're, at the edge of where the car is about to lose control, but you're holding on and you're actually keeping it under control. All right. So cars like the McLarens, the Corvettes, the Camaros, Mustangs. I mean, they're all rear-wheel drive for a reason. Rear-wheel drive cars really get the adrenaline pumping. And having the ability to grab a manual transmission version of these cars, just heightens that experience even more. Now, third part is technically it has 4 different engines you can choose from. It has the weakest one is a 2010 through 2012 2.0 turbo. Okay, but because it's the weakest one doesn't mean you have to say, oh no, I don't want that one, because it still has plenty of potential if you are trying to build it. Okay, so if you throw on forged internals and put on a bigger turbo, put on a standalone system or even just an alpha speed system with just a custom tune, you can make 700-800 horsepower at the wheels with it once it's built. So that's the weakest one you can get. Out of the box, the more stronger ones are the 3.8s. 2010 through 2012's 3.8s are multi-port injection 3.8s, making a little over 300 horsepower at the crank. 2013 through 16, you're looking at 348 horsepower out of the GDI direct injection engine. And then the fourth one would be the newer 2013 through 14 2.0 turbo engine, which has better internals from factory, is able to handle a little bit more boost, has bigger and better flowing turbo from factory as well compared to the older 2.0 version. But like I said, with all four of the engine choices you have, they have different type of personalities, and depending on what your main goal is or how you're going to modify your car, they're all great platforms to start out with. If you want to get into the different trim levels and things that comes when you're actually shopping for the Genesis Coupe, I will put up a link of my another video that I did before going over all the differences of the Genesis Coupe trim levels that you can take a look at. That way you can make a decision on which trim level, which engine and transmission combination you want for yourself if you decide to buy a Gen Coupe. Okay. The next one, while we're talking about the engines that come with the car, another option are engine swaps. Right? These cars have been around since 2010, so now it's 12, almost 13 years now that they've been around. So people have done LS swaps, people have done 2JZ swaps. I've seen 4G63 swaps on these things. So people have done engine swaps on them. And because it's a rear-wheel drive platform, there's so much room in the engine bay to throw in whatever engine you really want. All right? I've seen twin turbo LS swaps. I've seen supercharged LS swaps. I've seen just NA LS swaps. So it's the amount of engine swaps and options you have are endless, and you can do anything you want with it. Next thing I really want to see is a Coyote swap, which actually Norman from Alpha Speed is planning on doing to his Genesis Coupe as well. So, I mean, the potential is endless on these cars, and it's because of the way these cars are built from factory. They are rear-wheel drive, plenty of room in the engine bay. Again, have the manual transmission option. It's a beautiful car, even exterior-wise. And lastly, what I want to really get into is Hyundais have been put on the map, right? So 10 years ago, when we're talking about Hyundais, it used to be Econo boxes. People would not even want to be seen in the Hyundais. Even in Fast and Furious, I think there's a scene where Han is like, what'd you think? I was going to let you drive in a Hyundai? But it's not that way anymore. You go to the car shows, Hyundais are actually having their own categories. People are starting to respect what Hyundai actually does when it comes to performance-wise, especially with like the Veloster and, actually holding records and things like that at the Nürburgring. Like it's great to see, So the brand recognition is there. So if you're looking for building a show car, that's definitely a way to go. Because you're not going to be left behind because you don't have a JDM car all of a sudden. So the Hyundai brand recognition is definitely coming up. And lastly, most important part is there are plenty of parts out there for these cars to personalize yourself, to make it look the way you want, to make it perform the way you want. The parts are out there, the support is out there. And again, because the platform has been around for over 10 years, there's so much information out there, and there's a lot of professionals, including myself, that knows ins and outs of these cars. They will wire things up with their eyes closed and things like that to help you through your build processes of how you want your car to be, what you want it to be, how much you want to spend, etc., etc. Okay, so I mean there's so many different things, but there are the 6 points that that convinces me, and hopefully it convinces you that this is one of the better platforms to get into right now when it comes to tuner vehicles. Okay, so you're looking at, again, price point, number one. Number two, the type of engine choices that you get out of the box. Number three, the rear-wheel drive manual transmission. Number four, the amount of engine swaps that people can do, have done, and will do in the future. The brand recognition, and lastly, the vast amount of parts that are available. So, I mean, if you're looking into a new tuner car to get into, I suggest you take a hard look at the Hyundai Genesis Coupe, and I hope this video actually helped you make your decision on your next tuner vehicle. All right? So, thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Peace.